All right, you guys. So, welcome to a very, very special episode of Moments of Motivation. I am so excited because I have a special guest on with us today. I have the lovely Britnee Alphin. And before I read her bio, I'm going to share what I know about her because she and I actually go way back. We went to high school together. So, it has been a long journey just witnessing her journey and her glow up. So, I'm really excited to have her on the show today. Britnee is like I don't even know how many times over creator. She's a photographer. She has created magazines, and I mean like gorgeous magazines, Mahogany magazine. She's had a cosmetics line. Um, and then, like, to top that all off, she has gone through just such an amazing weight loss journey over the last it's been 2 years. We'll get into that.
Hmm.
But Brittany's just awesome. So let me read her bio and then we'll jump into it. So Britnee Alphin is a 90s Guyanese born gal in Long Island, New York, residing in Atlanta, fully ready to trade her peaches for Los Angeles sunsets. She married her high school best friend, and they have two beautiful little cutie pies. She has a bachelor's degree in marketing and public relations and associates in journalism, five plus brands and businesses, over 10 jobs, and a VSG bariatric sleeve surgery. She's down over 125 pounds. It led her on an adventurous journey to becoming a lifestyle, fitness, and travel influencer and content creator. She loves what she does, and she's extremely passionate about sharing the lessons that she's learned in life with the people that need a relatable example, encouragement, and permission to heal to become their highest self. And not to mention, she has like over 200,000 followers on TikTok between like her and her husband's page and her personal page and her Instagram. She also has a podcast. This bio doesn't really do it 100% justice, so that's why we're going to chop it up. Britnee, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being here. So I just mentioned, your healing journey. I kind of just want to like dive right into it. You
Yeah.
had a major surgery and you have lost 125 pounds. And one thing I like to throw in there too is that, yes, she had that surgery, but this girl kills it in the gym, kills it with her nutrition, and like share that with us. Like, I know I've seen you go through the identity shift, but share a little bit of that with us. What's that journey been like?
It's been interesting. To be honest, I get messages constantly, like literally every day asking how I was able to lose weight. And the first thing I tell people is it started mentally. Because I realized that, in my way back in the day when I was in college, I decided to take psychology. That was my major. And I lasted a few classes before the professor discouraged me. But what I realized is everything is mental. Every thought, everything that you do, every action, it literally starts with your thought process. And when it comes to losing weight, you literally have to get to the root of your relationship with food. Now, sometimes you can have issues, with your body that are hereditary because, your mom's mom had this disease or this, issue going on, and you just happen to catch the tail end of it. But everything literally starts with you transforming your mind, and that's something that Joe Dispenza talks about, which is somebody that I love to listen to. But he talks about changing your mind and changing your life, and that's where I started my weight loss journey. Is literally tackling my food relationship because I realized food wasn't um, a source of nutrition for me. It was literally my bay when I needed it. It was my confidant when I needed it. It was my support system when I needed it. It did everything outside of providing me nutrition because I was a carbitarian. I was eating macaroni and cheese. I was eating bread. I was eating all of the comfort foods at one time and justifying it. Well, while I'm eating, no, like you're not eating. You're not even enjoying the food. You're not even caring if, there are certain ingredients that aren't supposed to be in there. Like you're just eating to pacify a moment. And when I realized that, I was like, I need to change how I look at food.
Mm.
And what I started doing way before, I wanted to lose weight and get the surgery was I started to pinpoint where exactly did my food relationship start. And it started
Mhm.
with my mom because she had a bad relationship with food and she just kind of transferred it to me. So she
Mhm.
ate when she was depressed. She ate when she was sad. She ate when she was
Mhm.
stressed out at work. And I saw that and started mirroring it. And then after sitting with that, I was like, okay, so let's undo that. Let's look at food as fuel, not as something, to pacify my emotions, not as something to help me cope, but literally use it for fuel. So if I'm not hungry, don't eat. If I'm
Mhm.
full, stop eating. There's
Mhm.
no reason for you to continue to feed your body something that is literally telling you we're done. No, we
Mhm.
don't want that right now. It's too much. It's too spicy. It's too fatty. It's too this. Just listening to your body. And when I started to do that, then I moved on to unpacking childhood traumas. I was like,
Mhm.
whew, I realized that that food triggers that memory. That experience triggers this. And I'm like, okay, so now we're unpacking this. And
Mhm.
once I got over that hurdle, I was like, okay, I'm ready for the surgery. I'm
Mhm.
ready to do the physical part of it. Still
Mhm.
doing the mental, but doing the physical part.
Mhm.
And that is when things for me just took a turn because seeing what my body could be and understanding that if I did the work, there was a possibility that I could be the body that I've dreamed of since I was a kid, like living the lifestyle that I dreamed of as a kid, and not necessarily having a Kim K body, but just being able to run outside and not lose my breath, being
Mhm.
able to walk upstairs, being able to cross my legs, like little things, just being able to squat and not, feel like I need an ambulance to come help me up, just being
Mhm.
able to fluidly live. And
Mhm.
once I made the decision that I was willing to do whatever, I got surgery.
Mhm.
And from there, I think I became a psychopath and started going to the gym 6 days a week. And people are like, you're nuts. I was counting calories for 2 years, like down to sauces, drinks. I was micromanaging things, doing the calorie deficit, studying food, studying ingredients. Like I did that for 2 years. And then
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? I think that it's time that I extend grace to myself because I went hard.
Mhm.
The moment that I
Mhm.
got cleared to go to the gym, I was at the gym 6 days a week. I was doing cycling, I was doing yoga, I was doing Pilates. I
Mhm.
was doing all types of stuff, heavy weightlifting. I was strength training like a bodybuilder,
Mhm.
encouraged by you, Cass, like
Aw.
watching you bodybuilder. I was like, I'm gonna be a bodybuilder. And then I started studying, girl. I don't even know what you went through, but mentally I was like, I can't handle this. Like, this is a
Honestly,
lot. It's a
honestly, I
lot.
feel like you probably did more bodybuilder things than you think because restricting your calories, gym 6 days a week, like being super strict, that is like 75% of bodybuilding, truly. So like a
Yeah,
lot of what you said is like you may have done a competition and not have even really known it.
girl. It was that bodybuilding was intense. I'm like, because I was studying it through ISSA. And
Hmm.
when I got the book knowledge and then started applying it, I was like, this is intense. Like
Hmm.
people literally commit months, years to doing this. I'm like, this is a
Hmm.
lot on your body.
Hmm.
This is a lot on your mental. And that was a whole nother obstacle. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, like that is the commitment level. And yeah, and then I just fell
Yeah.
in love with fitness, just putting my body through things and seeing, okay, this muscle does work. I do have upper body strength. I do have arm strength.
Yes.
Okay, I just have to push through. And I'm like,
Mhm.
now here I am, like looking like
Yes.
somebody who's training for a marathon. And I'm just like, no, I'm just trying to live. Like, I'm not
Seriously.
training for anything. I'm just trying to live.
Oh my goodness. It's you said so many things that I want to like run back to, but one thing that you said is like you started mentally before you even got the surgery and that was like a process and like I know that you unpacked a lot, but like for somebody who's listening who may be in the shoes that you were in 2 years ago or 3 years ago, what was that first thing, like the week or the month or the season in which you got started? Like what was the first thing you did? Like give us like on a day-to-day basis, what were those first initial steps that you took to get you to the point where you could even be ready to do the surgery?
I think getting myself to the point of receiving critical conversations and having those critical conversations, like asking my husband, what have I done that has caused you to look at me differently? What have I done? Where have I missed it as a wife? Where have I missed it as a mother? And actually sitting there and listening to somebody offload the ways that you have affected them, good or bad, the ways that you traumatized them. Like me and my husband have been together since it's been 12 years and we've known each other for almost 20 years. And
Mhm.
now to be in a place where you have to unpack 17 to 20 years worth of trauma, it's like, wow. And then men suppress things so differently than women. Like by the time he got done offloading everything, I was like, okay, so that was a lot, but I'm going to take it day by day and do my part. And I
Mhm.
didn't realize that the things that I was doing so unconsciously that it was affecting my kids. So I started
Mhm.
asking my son, like, since my daughter was so young, she couldn't articulate anything to me at all, but it was still affecting her.
Mhm.
And I sat with my son, I was like, what has mommy done that really has triggered you, that has caused you, that pain or hurt, like I've broken your heart? And when he started telling me like vivid things back to when he was like 3, I'm like, wow, like,
Mhm.
wow, like mommy missed it. And he's like, yeah, that's why I can't talk to you. That's why I go to daddy. That's why, I'm distant. And our relationship was just really awkward because he didn't know how to talk to me because anytime he said something, I was triggered. And then
Mhm.
as my daughter got older, she started learning how to express her feelings. And she's like, mommy, I'm not happy. I'm hurt. You
Mhm.
said something that hurt my feelings and it makes me uncomfortable. Like, I need
Mhm.
you to not do that ever again.
Mhm.
And just allowing, other people to hold me accountable for where I missed it was the beginning to me saying, okay, I need to heal because what I feel that I'm doing is not being received the same way.
Mhm.
And that I feel like trying to articulate that to people that ask you, like, how did you start this? It's like you have to really be ready for that mirror. That mirror hurts because
Mhm.
it shows you, like, you thought you were doing one thing and other people around you were receiving it a completely different way. Because in your mind, you think, I'm saying this with love. I'm saying this politely. I'm leading with love. And then that person comes and tells you, I didn't feel no love.
Mhm.
I didn't feel any type of compassion. I didn't feel any type of understanding. I know the program you played in your head, but when it
Mhm.
came out, that's not how I felt it. And
Mhm.
that's not how I received it. That's not how I internalized it. And when I realized that I wasn't matching up to the person I created in my head based on the person that was actually living, I realized that I needed to do some work. And everything came back to I didn't love myself. I did
Mhm.
not know what that love was. And I demanded that from my husband. I demanded it from my kids. I demanded it from my mom. I demanded it from everybody, friends, family. But I didn't know what that was like for me. And where
Mhm.
that pivot came from that made me do my work was one day me and my husband got into an argument. And he was like, how dare you ask me to love you? And you don't even know how to love yourself. And
Mhm.
right before he said that, I mean, I was like straight New York, straight screaming, straight tourist, like I was guns
Mhm.
blazing. And he said that, and I was like, you're right. I
Mhm.
don't know how to love myself. And I didn't have anything else to say. I was like, you're right. And
Mhm.
that day, I literally committed to changing my life. And that was way before, this, I think that was like a year or two before I even committed to surgery. But it was
Wow.
realizing I have an issue with myself. And you
Mhm.
can't be an effective mother. You can't be an effective wife. You can't be an effective friend if you don't have that foundation within yourself. And when I realized that I was disloyal to myself, I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I have to heal. I have to do this because I don't want to go into another year of life not being my highest self. There's no
Mhm.
way I can say that my life is great. I'm happy. I feel fulfilled if I haven't even created a foundation of loyalty to myself, loyalty to the way I love myself, the way that I see myself, the ways that I present myself to others. And everything kept coming back to that disloyalty to myself. But even how I was dressing, even how I was presenting myself physically,
Mhm.
and I realized that it was a me versus me season. And I had to change. Like,
Mhm.
I had to accept that mirror. I had to accept those conversations from people and really say, okay, got to take notes. I missed it here. Let's get to the root of that. Why did I miss it there? Why does it irritate me when my kids are crying?
Mhm.
Why does it irritate me when my husband tells me certain things? Why can't I receive, love this way? And when I started getting to the root, which is what I tell everybody, I'm like, what's the root? Get to the root, find the root, because there's a reason
Mhm.
why you say that. There's a reason why you think that way. There's a reason why you feel that way. There's a reason why you have that relationship with food. And when you finally get to the root, you start to realize it's either unimportant, it was inherited, or it was something that you created out of an assumption that wasn't even real. Like you assumed this whole thought
Mhm.
process, and it's like
Mhm.
there's no validity to that. Like you just
Mhm.
created it to cope and you didn't need to.
Mhm.
So yeah, that it started with
Wow.
my husband literally telling me about myself. And I was like, oops, you're
Wow.
right. You're
That's
right.
so deep. That's so deep because like what it reminds me of is like how connected everything is. And it's just like I want our listeners to really get that your weight loss
Hmm.
journey started with self-reflection. You know, your weight
Yeah.
loss journey started with looking at yourself and facing your traumas, you know, and it all is tied to it. It's like all tied together, but it wasn't like, oh, you know, why am I not going to the gym? Why am I eating these foods? It's why are my relationships with the people who are closest to me, why is there tension here and what can I
Yeah.
do to address it? And just the trickle down effect of all of that. I think that's so beautiful and so like so life, you know, like just things being so connected. It's like a lot of times we don't even realize the connectedness of our situations. And so I think it's like
Hmm.
just so powerful that you started there. You also mentioned that like after that point, you kind of started to look at your trigger foods and, you know, the foods that brought up certain emotions, the foods that were tied to certain memories. Can you talk just a little bit more about that? Like as you started to realize your relationship with your husband and your kids and you brought that back to the food, like how did that process work for you?
Um, I realized that I wasn't using food as fuel. So there, everyone has always wanted to lose weight since we were in high school, middle school. You know, I started the whole "I'm going to lose weight this year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this," and
Mhm.
I started. Someone told me, "Brittany, food is fuel. You only use fuel when you need it. Nobody goes to the gas station with a full tank of gas to add more. You already have a full tank.
Mhm.
Use that." You know, and then go about your business. If you need to top off, which is in this example, a snack, then you can top off with a snack. But if
Mhm.
it's not necessary, then there's no reason for you to consume that. So I realized that, and I found my love for food because I realized that I wasn't even enjoying the flavors of food. I was just eating
Mhm.
stuff. People are like, oh, yeah, this is a smoked Gouda macaroni and cheese. And I'm like, this tastes like Kraft macaroni and cheese because I wasn't sitting down tasting the food. I was just
Mhm.
trying to scarf it down. And
Mhm.
I'm a mom, so I always
Mhm.
go back to Ratatouille. And in Ratatouille, you know, the brother's name was Amir, and he was just eating food. Like he was eating trash, not even caring about what he was eating.
Mhm.
And then you had the main rat character who was like, no, enjoy the food. Do you taste this flavor? Do you taste
Mhm.
that? And I started to challenge myself, and I'm like, I want to see if I can taste all of the seasonings that I put into this food, which means I have to slow down.
Mhm.
I have to start being intentional about the
Mhm.
seasonings that I'm putting in. And I'm Caribbean for Christ's sake. I'm like, how are you eating oxtail and you can't even point out the seasonings? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you
Yeah.
even here? You know, like, you need to be able to pinpoint the bay leaves and, you know,
Mhm.
the different aspects of the
Mhm.
food because you may notice that, okay, well, I had an allergic reaction. So let me start picking out certain things. Let me see which one was a trigger. Let me see what's causing the inflammation. Okay, let me take out the dairy. Let me see if that's what's causing the bloating. Let me take out, you know, carbs. Let me see if that's what's causing. And then having PCOS, I have to be very nitpicky about my food anyways, because
Mhm.
certain things created that insulin. Like it created
Mhm.
that ability for me to want more of it. And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
even eat that food. But now
Mhm.
I'm sitting here eating a whole extra black olive medium pizza from Marcos by myself, then turning around
Mhm.
eating a family sized Greek salad and justifying it. Well, I had a salad. No,
Mhm.
ma'am. Like, what are you eating this for? Like, you're
Mhm.
not going to do anything besides go sit down. So I
Mhm.
just had to find a way to slow down with my eating, slow down with the things that I was eating, and actually care about the quality of food that I was consuming because I'm like,
Mhm.
no offense to everybody that loves America. America is poisoning us with the food. And
Oh,
it's
girl,
like,
that's a whole nother
you,
episode, okay?
girl, I'm like, y'all have to be conscious about the stuff that you're eating because even if it says organic, which we know it's not unless you grow it yourself, you know,
Mhm.
are you really eating organic? Are you really eating something that is, you know, conducive to what you're trying to fulfill? Like my main example for people, I'm like, go look at a protein bar. Go pick up a protein bar that has 280 calories, and then go pick up another protein bar that has 90 calories. And then look at that nutrition. Look at the
Mhm.
ingredients. Why is that protein bar? Both protein bars have 20 grams of protein in it. But why
Mm-hmm.
is one 230 calories and they have less than a gram of sugar? And the other one is 90 calories and it has less than a gram of sugar. So what's the mess that they put in there to make the calories so high?
Right.
So what are you feeding yourself? So now it makes
Mm-hmm.
you pivot like, why do these bars say the same advertising on the front, but then when I flip it to the back, the ingredients on this one are this small and the ingredients on that one are longer. It's like it
Exactly.
starts to make you really pivot like, what am I eating? How is
Mm-hmm.
this contributing to my weight gain or weight loss? Am I getting enough calories? Am I getting enough iron? And having that pivot moment, like being very conscious of what I was putting in my body, it just made me reevaluate my relationship with food. Like, yes, you can have your Oreo, but stop it too.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on doing the serving size,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get to see, oh, if I do the serving size, I really do get full after just eating that
Mm-hmm.
third cup or
Mm-hmm.
those two Oreos. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
started training myself doing that. What is the serving
Mm-hmm.
size? Only two hot dogs? Okay, well, then I'll just eat the two hot dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that training just to see how differently can my body feel if I do certain things, if I change certain things. And I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that I started to be able to really be in tune with my body. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my body doesn't like that. Nope, we don't like spice. Nope, we
Mm-hmm.
don't. And it's the equivalent to, I think, like it's the blood type diet
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah,
something just
I
for
did
men.
that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I did too. I did that
Yeah.
like 3 times. Failed every time. But just trying to figure out what foods were triggering me.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to start subtracting certain things, reading ingredients, realizing, okay, we don't like this bread. We don't like this. Even though it's Ezekiel bread, my body doesn't like the certain seeds that are in that bread. They don't like the sprouted things. I really don't like the taste of bread. Even though I've literally built a whole diet off of it, my body does not, still currently, my body does not digest bread. So I don't eat it. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm not bloated. My body doesn't digest sugar. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
don't consume sugar over 10
Mm-hmm.
grams. And when I started to pivot and really subtract some things and then try new things, my
Mm-hmm.
body started to tell me, oh, we do like that. No, we don't like that. Okay, eat
Mm-hmm.
more of that. Okay, eat this in moderation. And then you start to learn your body and what the triggers are, what you're going to bloat from, what's good, what's not. And it takes time. It's
Mm-hmm.
tedious, but it's so worth it because then you can know, okay, this weekend I'm gonna go splurge. I'm going to New Orleans. I'm eating everything
Mm-hmm.
that I know my body's gonna react to,
Mm-hmm.
but I know I'm gonna do damage control when I get home. But don't
Mm-hmm.
get upset when that shirt doesn't go over your head and fits over your stomach because you ate all the stuff that your body, is
Yeah.
sensitive to.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you know.
Hmm. I love that Ratatouille reference because I remember that part in the movie so keenly. It was like and I vaguely remember movies, but I do remember he was like, taste the food. And it was like he tasted it. And it was just like instantly he was like teleported back to like his childhood and his grandma and his mom
Mm-hmm.
cooking. And it was just like so vivid. And so like I really connected with that example of just like
Yeah.
seeing where does the food take you, and I just like how
Mm-hmm.
you kind of it sounds like if I could envision it, it's almost like you press like, you can listen to things on 1x speed, 2x speed. It's like you slowed it down and went to like 0.5 speed to really take
Yeah.
time to really say, what am I eating? How are these foods affecting my body? How are these foods tasting? What are the actual flavors here? And I can 100% relate to you. I was overweight in high school. And like, it's so funny because you're like, I always wanted to be skinny like a little kid. It's like when we were in high school, I thought you were skinny. Like, I thought you were skinny then. And I just
No.
like, man, if I could just be like Britney size, I would be so happy, and like, I definitely had a climax to a certain point where I just would like gorge and like you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, it's like not even tasting the food. It's like you're just eating for the sensation of food being in your mouth and not eating
Yeah.
for nutrition. So I think it's like so key just how you slow things down. What does this taste like? How does this make my body feel? When I don't eat this
Mm-hmm.
certain food, what's my body's reaction to it? I just love that. So you go through the surgery, and then you like, I feel like you take it to a whole nother level. You're in the gym, you're working out. Like, talk about the identity shift. So that the identity shift definitely started happening prior to the surgery, prior to the working out, prior to the eating. But now that you're in this physical temple, I do feel like there probably was another shift that had to happen when you physically went from being, the size that you were then to the size that you
Mhm.
are now. So can you talk a little bit about that shift of, I was this way a year ago, and now I'm totally not that way anymore.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
So that that telling people that answer is all the response is always funny because I did not look in the mirror. Like when
Mhm.
I was larger and fluffier, I did not look in the mirror. I didn't care. I was like, nope. And my husband would be like, go stand in the mirror. And I'm like, no. Like, I don't want to know what I look like. I don't want to know what my body looks like. I could care less. So I just didn't look in the mirror. Anytime I was brushing my teeth,
Mhm.
I looked at my mouth and I spit and I did went about my business. When I had to put on makeup, I literally looked at my face. I never looked from the neck down, ever. And when
Mhm.
I finally got to this point after surgery, when I started, I was like, I'm just going to document because I had a friend who got it before me, and she had got the gastric bypass.
Mhm.
And she said, the one thing I regret about my journey is not documenting. And I was like, fine, I'll document. Then I decided to, grow a pair. And I was like, I'm just going to put it on social media. And then
Grow
from
a
there, that's
pair.
when I took off. I was like, oh, like now I'm held accountable. So then I had to start looking at myself. And I realized that number one, the body type that I had in my head was not happening because I'm a mom. And I was like, my body is completely different than I imagined. But what
Mhm.
it started to become is something that I cherish. Like, I love my stretch
Mhm.
marks. I love that my stomach is not washboard ab flat. It
Mhm.
shows who I am and it shows my journey as a mother. It shows my journey as someone who went from 274 pounds to now, 138 pounds. Like, that
Cute.
was a big shift. Like,
That's
girl, it was
huge.
like, I was like, this is happening. Like my body is transforming. And I think it was like during that first year, like June, July time, when I really started to see that shift in my body and I started to feel more confident, even though I wasn't the size that I wanted to be. And I wasn't anywhere, I was like 25 pounds outside of my goals. I started to feel differently. I started to carry myself differently. For the first time, I was like, I'm getting looks by people. I'm getting approached by
Mhm.
people, which I was like, I'm still, slight at that point, I was still slightly shy. I'm like, please don't look at me. Please don't. Like,
Mhm.
I'm married. I don't want any attention. Just leave me alone. And I started to realize, like, you're not that girl anymore. You
Mhm.
are turning heads because now people are looking at you because you're carrying yourself differently. It's not because you got prettier. It's not because you got more beautiful. It's because you're carrying yourself differently. And from that mentality of, oh, okay, so I'm starting to feel differently. One day, again, me and my husband sat down and had a conversation, and we started talking about religion and spirituality.
Mhm.
And I have had my reserves about religion versus spirituality since I was a kid. I've had
Mhm.
questions. There were just things that, just
Mhm.
I had questions.
Mhm.
And being a pastor's kid and growing up in church, like
Mhm.
literally starting programs in the church as a child, I was literally raised in church. I was in church 4 days a week. Like I was the church kid. That was my life. I was at church. And having all these questions and not having anybody to answer them kind of made me feel like, eh, what am I believing in? What am I doing? Like, why am
Mhm.
I here? And
Mhm.
one day I sat down and actually had a conversation with my husband. I was like, okay, so don't judge me, but this is what I've been wanting to get off my chest since I was
Don't
about
judge me.
5. And he was like, wow, I I feel the same way. I have the same questions. I had the same
Oh.
questions. And then we started to unpack that.
Mm.
And being able to be my full self with
Mhm.
someone made me feel safe. And
Mm.
from that day on, I became a completely different person. And we
Wow.
joke all the time. He's like, you're an extremist. One day you're a vegetarian, or one day you're eating meat. Like literally, the first time I became a vegetarian in high school, I had a McDouble from McDonald's and a McChicken sandwich. Woke up the next morning, I was like, I'm a vegan. Threw all my products out, went to the store, got all vegan products, got all vegan food, lotions, toothpaste, everything. I'm an extremist.
Oh
I go
my
from one extreme to the other.
gosh. You're like, I'm starting over. Like, this is it.
Yeah, completely over it. And when we had that conversation the next day, I was like, okay, I'm a different person. I was like, send me personal development. I'm ready to do, like, I'm ready to start this life because I feel safe.
Mm.
And when he gave me permission in that safe zone to fully be who I needed to be, and he was like,
Mhm.
you're okay. You don't have to have a guard up with me. Like, you can be yourself.
Mhm.
That was my final evolution. That's when people
Mhm.
online started seeing you're different. That's when my family started to feel and see like you're different. And I'm like, because I feel
Mhm.
safe, because someone finally gave me permission to be safe. Somebody finally gave me
Mhm.
permission to say, you can heal now. You don't have
Mhm.
to hold on to those childhood worries. You
Mhm.
can actually start to flow. Like, you're on the other side of healing. Now you're unpacking teenage trauma. Now
Mhm.
your inner child is healed. Now we're going to teenage
Mhm.
trauma and adult trauma. But you have a partner that allows you to feel safe, and that kind of support, that safety support, that safety net. It's like, oh, thank you for finally letting me be me.
Yes.
Like, I've been trying to be me for so long, and nobody gave me permission to say, no, you can be you. You can let out your humor. You can be goofy. You can be you. You can actually be Britney. And I
Yes.
was like, really? Like, you're not gonna laugh at me? He's like, no. Like, finally, I can let my hair down. He's like, all right, don't get too comfortable. So you're starting to like really shift. You went to that extremist side, like you're just letting it all out. And I was like, I am, because you told me that I'm allowed to. And he, every day he's like, this person that you are, I never expected you to be
Wow.
this person, this guard let down, this person that's not shy. Like, he will
Mhm.
randomly in the middle of, anywhere, just be like, just dance, just show me something. And I'll do it. And he's like, this version of you never existed in my mind before. Like, you was, I know I don't want to do that. I'm like, I will break out in a line dance in the middle of Kroger. Like, I
Yes.
have to just be me. And
Mm.
being me is the most freeing thing. And that's why I try to articulate to my followers, like, you need somebody to give you permission. I will give you permission. Here is your permission to just be. Just be who you are. Nobody is judging you. We're
Yes.
all out here struggling in different areas of life. We're all out here over assuming that this person is looking at us in the grocery store. This person is thinking about us in this way. And someone told me, hey, nobody's thinking about you the way that you're thinking about you. Give yourself permission to just exist, to just be. Take the responsibility of everyone
Mm.
else's opinions off of you and just
Yes.
be. And I
Yes.
was like, it's that easy. And they're like, yes, just release, release. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to be me then. And being me was
Yes.
probably the best gift that I could have ever given myself. That
Mhm.
transformation of just being. And it again, it takes time. It takes you just every day, just letting your shoulders down, releasing that tension. Yoga and meditation help. Like,
Mhm.
just now I can fully express my beliefs without feeling like I'm judged. Like, there's a whole world of people that believe what I believe, that
Mhm.
understand the things that I understand, and it's like, oh, okay. So there's a world for me. There's
Yes.
a there's a tribe for me. There's a people for me, and I don't have to feel
Mhm.
like I'm out here by myself. And just standing in that being was kind of what got me here. Like, oh,
Yes.
that was it. That's easy.
That's easy. It's so funny too, because it's like we are always thinking like, what's the next person thinking about me? Oh, they must think this, they must think that. But literally everybody else is going through that same thing in their head
Hmm.
about themselves. So it's like
Yeah.
the more likely scenario is that the person that you think is looking at you is actually thinking about themselves, that you're thinking whatever it is about them,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like your whole journey like reminds me of the Matrix, like Neo waking up. It's like everything is just like you're like this, like almost like a blooming flower, it's just like
Hmm.
you started underground, in a little bit of darkness and then like shot up, shot through. And it's like now this beautiful bloom, and I know you
Yeah.
say that like your husband kind of gave you permission, you felt safe. And I think that's so important that we feel safe, but it's still you. It's you
Yeah.
who decided to be real with him. It's you who decided that, okay, I feel safe here. Now I'm going to be real with my audience, my followers, and it's like
Mhm.
you still did that work. You still decided to
Yeah.
take that step and just I think it's so important that in the beginning you didn't really have all the answers. You kind of just took it bit by bit and started with what you do know and what you do have within your locus of control, and then it kind of
Mhm.
just started to spiral. And I think it's just so beautiful, and I'm like,
you.
that's why I wanted to have you on here, because it's just like, wow, I've seen the transformation myself. And it's funny because I remember, and this wasn't that long ago, but probably like 2020 or maybe 2021. This is when you were still
Mhm.
doing photography. You invited me to take pictures. And I just remember
Yes.
like that Britney, high school Britney, that Britney, and this Britney are like three different people, because I
Yeah.
remember thinking like, wow, Britney's like quieter than I remember her being, but it's like, it's almost like you allowed yourself to come out of the shadows and step into the spotlight and just
Mhm.
be all that you are. And it's like, I'm here for it. Like I
Thank
love
you.
to see it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a journey. There's sometimes now where, my husband will be like, "You're really quiet." And I'm like, I have learned the power of silence and
Mm,
observation in such a different way. And that used
mm,
to make me feel insecure. Like I have to fill this space with noise. I have to fill it with something. I have to work 17 different jobs. I have to have, all these different businesses going at once. And it was to distract myself from actually doing my healing work. And when I finally got comfortable with myself and just sat, I literally went online, went on the IRS and dissolved all of my businesses. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just need to sit with myself for at least
mm,
6 months at minimum. And then
mhm.
it turned into a year. And I'm like, I'm a passenger princess. I'm living a soft life. My husband does everything. I was like, he's
Yes.
like, I just want you to sit and just sit with yourself. And I was like, it's too quiet when I sit with myself. And he's like, good, learn yourself while you sit. And I just began to learn myself. I learned where I was strong in certain areas. I was like, silence is literally the most powerful thing. And it's not silence with a tone. I think when people like pass around the quote that's like, your silence is enough for people, like that gets the message across. But it's silence with a tone because then you're
Mhm,
still subtweeting or you're sending like subliminal messages through social media. That's not silence.
mhm.
That's just indirect. And I'm
Right.
like, no, silence, period. Like nothing. Like I will
Mhm,
go ghost on social media. You won't know how I'm feeling, what I'm doing until you
mhm,
ask me. But that
mhm.
forces people to not live in a state of assumption. You have to communicate.
Right.
Brittany, you've been gone. The last conversation we had, I felt a little uneasy. And I'm like, well, I didn't feel uneasy. Can I ease? Do you need me to ease? Like, what questions do you have? Because
Mhm,
I'm good. And it's like,
mhm.
oh, well, I thought you were mad at me. I'm not. I'm a mom. Like I literally moved on to the next task. Like, oh, well, I was walking around thinking you were upset. I'm like, girl, no. It's just I just go silent. Like I'm not upset with you. We ended the conversation. You said what you said. I said what I said. And I moved on. Like I didn't
Mhm.
think we needed to keep harping on it. And I was
Right.
just silent. And I just
Mhm,
started I'm just going to be silent, not to force anybody to come to me, but because my silence is not necessarily me condoning circumstances or not condoning circumstances.
mhm,
It's just I've just taken a moment to assess. I've
mhm,
taken a moment to process and
mhm,
really respond versus react to circumstances, whether
mhm,
it's just with me, my own emotions or other people's emotions, just silence. Like
mhm,
I've learned that my quietness is just as powerful as my voice, using my voice,
mhm,
and that's also what contributed to my shift. Like, no, Brittany, you don't have to be the loudest one. You don't have to be the center of attention. You don't have to overcompensate. By cracking jokes on yourself to beat people to the punch so they're not calling you the fat girl. They're not calling you this.
mhm,
They're not making jokes about you saying, oh, well, he's only with you because you got pregnant. No, I'm already beating you to the punch by making these jokes about myself, clearing the air, and now I don't do
mhm,
that. Like you go
mhm.
on our social media, people be coming for us, and I'm like, nope, I'm not even gonna respond because think what you want, do
Yeah.
what you want. My silence is enough. Like do
Yeah.
what you want. Whatever. It is what it
Yeah.
is. People have opinions, and you just learn to just address things that need to be addressed and brush off
Mhm,
everything else because it's not worth sacrificing peace over. Like it's
mhm.
not.
No, it's
It's just
not.
not. Peace is the most valuable thing.
Yes. I love that you said
But
about
yeah.
you just got quiet and like sat back and analyzed. I think like observation is like an underutilized skill in our world today, because we're either always consuming or we're always telling people how we feel about something, but we're not just
Mm-hmm.
sitting back to listen and observe and analyze and just kind of be quiet. Um, And so I love that you took that time to do that. But I also want to like reference just there's something called, and I'm probably going to butcher it because I don't like know it, but it's called the observer effect. And pretty much it says
Mhm.
that what you observe changes simply because you have observed it. And I think that's so
Mhm.
powerful because it's like that's kind of what you did. You know, you sat back,
Yeah.
observed yourself, and now you've completely transformed because you took that time. And I think it's so
Yeah.
important that when you become an observer, it's usually a positive reaction because you're actually stopping to see, you know, what's
Mhm.
really going on here, like what's really happening, like what is all of this noise, and how, like, can I use it for my good, and how is some of it actually kind of
Yeah.
hurting me and not helping me to get where I want. um
Mhm.
and I know that like it's been a journey, you know, and you've done so much work, but like tell me about like a struggle that you've had recently in this season that you've overcome that, you know, like what not to say does it get hard for you, but like how do you handle it when you do have like a rough day here in this space?
I think one of the most challenging things for me is extending grace to myself.
Mm,
When I got to a certain point in my weight loss journey, I became competitive with myself. I'm
mm,
like, no, I know I can push past this. I know that I can do this. Mind over matter was my thing. Like I would be lifting up, maxing out at my weight, and I'm like,
mhm,
mind over matter. You can do this. You're not
mm,
weak. And those moments where I'm like, I don't feel like it. And I'm
mhm,
like, nope, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. We can't not feel like it because you're going to gain that weight back. And I was like scaring myself
mm,
into keeping up this facade that, no, you need to extend grace, like relax. And it got to a point where I had to make a pact with myself. And I'm like, listen, if you don't feel up to it, don't do it. Don't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Either do it 100% or don't do it at all because
mhm,
you're only going to be upset with yourself that you didn't give it your all rather than you showed up and you were in your authentic moment, you were in your authentic emotions and your authentic intentions. And when I made that pact with myself, you know, I had to learn how to extend grace because there were some days where I'm like, no, I don't feel like going to the gym today. I literally went to the gym for 2 solid years, 6 days a week. Like, I don't feel like going today. I don't feel like lifting weights. I just want to run on the track. I just want to sit on the bike. I just want to do the bare minimum today. But
mhm.
then that mental programming of, no, you got to go harder. You got to do. And I'm like, grace,
Yes,
grace, relax. And
yes.
sometimes it takes those moments of me reminding myself, like, extend grace. You got here, you lost more weight than the doctor projected you to lose. Now he's telling
Mhm.
me, hey, it's okay if you gain a
Yes.
little bit more weight. Like, you did
Yes.
a lot. You surpassed your goals 3 times over. Like, relax. And I'm like, no, I
Yes.
gotta go harder. I gotta go harder. He's like, give yourself grace. So
Mm-hmm.
in this season, I'm learning that grace. And some days it takes me saying, no, you're not going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't eat enough. No, you didn't get enough
Mm-hmm.
fuel to even get yourself to the gym without passing out. No. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, all right. And I'm like, so I find something else to do. I'm like, I'll just go walk to the trash can. There you go. You were active. And that's just little steps that I'm taking with myself to extend grace. Now, some days are better than others, but
Mm-hmm.
some days I'm like, nope, sit, go sit down, go take a nap.
Yes.
And I'll sleep for half the day. I'm like, just go rest. It's time
Mm-hmm.
to rest. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the grace part.
I want to switch gears, but before we do, I want to say like you are so much farther along than you can ever imagine. Like you have compacted, because like I can so relate to your story in so many ways, but like you have
Mhm.
compacted what took me like literally a decade, like, and you compress that into 2 years, you know, like the self-reflection piece, and then you
Mhm.
know the working out, and like the looking at the food, and then being super duper restrictive and like losing all this weight, but then stopping to say, wait a minute, you know, I can have some balance, you know, it doesn't have to be so all or nothing. I can enjoy my favorite foods every once in a while because
Mhm.
90% of the time I'm doing all the things. Like
Yeah.
you are in such a good place, and like on the mornings that you feel, you know, like, oh, you know, I need to do X, Y, and Z. On the mornings that you need to give yourself grace, I just want you to remember like you're so much farther than you can ever imagine. Like Personally, having gone through it, it took me a long, long time to
Mhm.
realize like, okay, I'm not overweight anymore. I am this person. I am a fit person. When people see me, they see somebody who is, in great shape. They don't see this overweight girl. It took me
Yeah.
a long time to get to that part in my journey, to the point where I look
Mhm.
back now and I'm like, dang, this whole time my mind was still thinking that I'm like this overweight girl in high school, when it's like I'd been in shape for like years at that point, still feeling
Yeah.
I was overweight. So, the fact that, and I can just feel your energy. Of course, like you said, everybody has hard days. Of course, there's going to be days that you need to give yourself grace, but it's just like your
Mhm.
embodiment of where you're at now. Don't take it for granted, because it could have taken so much longer, but I think because you did so much trauma work on the front end, it's been probably a lot easier for you to integrate who you are in this season. So
Yeah.
kudos, kudos to you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do want to switch gears just a little bit and kind of talk about your happily ever Alphin, and just kind of like your journey, and like totally have blown up on TikTok. And it's like you went to Essence Fest
Yeah.
recently, and like, oh my gosh, like I just want to get into that just a little bit. And like, I know before we kind of hopped on, we talked about like a decade ago when it was like a rough place in your marriage and kind of that struggle. Like,
Mhm.
please share that with our listeners, just kind of that transformation. Like, and y'all, for backstory, she's gonna go into detail, but like I mentioned at the beginning, Brittany and I have known each other since high school, so we've been friends for forever, what seems to be
Yeah.
in this season. But 10 years ago, I just remember her posting just about being in a rough place, and asking for help financially, asking for her community and her support. And, we all know we've all been there before. Well, hopefully,
Mhm.
everybody's been there before, not hopefully, but in a place where you have to ask for help, and I thought that
Yeah.
was bold of her to ask in such a public way, for help. But now to see her 10 years later, she and Jordan have like completely just, I mean, it's just amazing, what y'all have done
Yeah.
at Essence and with your TikTok and your following. It's like you're promoting just this Black love, Black excellence, and through it all, it's like share that with us, kind of like that before and after that journey with Happily Ever Alphin.
Our journey is a lot. It's so much to unpack. Like we were sitting down one day and like, let's just go ahead and start getting a book together because this is a lot to unpack from 14 years old to now 31. I'm like, there's a lot that happened in our life, things that people still don't even know that we've endured. But for us, I think that dating the guy in high school that, and when we didn't date in high school, we did it after high school. Like senior
Mhm.
year, we started to really solidify that we wanted this to be a forever thing. But in 10th grade, we had this unspoken understanding. Like we
Mhm.
joke about it all the time because people ask, what made you know that like y'all were each other's? When I was like, it was the first day of ninth grade. We zinged, like we had that connection. And in 10th grade, it was just an understanding like, yeah, we can date other people, but we're going to end up together forever. And we just don't know when. There's no time stamp, but just know that you're going to marry me and I'm going to marry you, and we're going to have a life together. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, you all know Dorian. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, we're gonna get married. Okay. And she was like, yeah, and I'm gonna take you to Virginia. I was like, yeah, right. Like by the time you come around, I'll be 45 and I won't even want
It'll
to be
be
thinking
over.
about you at that point. Right. Like you won't be my first by that point. And we had that unspoken conversation, like just it was the energy that we knew that we were going to be together. And then time evolved in high school and then we got to college and it was like, oh, like you want to explore college. What does that mean? Because we go to the same college. That means that I have to literally allow you to go explore in my face and
Mhm.
vice versa. And that was just,
Mhm.
that started our journey to, wow, that was just the pinnacle point of our story because we literally had to know that that was our person, but then watch our person go be with other
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
and not even just dating, like sexually. And that was a lot for me because
Mhm.
he was my only partner. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I don't, that was it. Like I made it clear if I was married, you know, if I saved myself to marriage, that was going to be my person. Like I wasn't doing it at any other time. I was like, I'm saving
Mm-hmm.
myself until marriage. But I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you beat me before marriage, so just know you're my person now. Like it's official.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't bring myself to tell my partner, like my forever partner, hey, so before I got to you, I have a list of people that I met before you, and we're gonna unpack that together. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be that partner, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that wife to my husband. And
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that most all my childhood. I was like, if I ever decided to get married, I don't want my husband to have to deal with my baggage. I don't mind unpacking his, but I know for a woman, it's a lot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we carry emotional ties, and I didn't want to unpack that. So he was just my person. Like that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And going through college was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we dealt with so much. I think the majority of my trauma came from college, but then the majority of his trauma came when we decided to be together. Like we were in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship from 2011 until. And then it started to become more traumatic during our marriage when we had kids. And it was just like, what are we doing?
What
Like,
was rock bottom for
it,
y'all? What do you feel like was rock bottom for y'all?
um, I think when my toxicity had reached an all time high,
Mm-hmm.
it got to the point where I let him know, hey, once the kids turn 18, this is well, it was just our son at the time. I was like, once our son turns 18, I'm done. Like I'm staying with you until he's 18, and then I'm done. And I was like, I don't want because I came from a single parent household. I don't want to separate our home. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind keeping up this facade until our
Mm-hmm.
son is 18. Then
Mm.
we had our daughter, and I was like, okay, I'm trapped again until she
I'm
turns
stuck.
18. So I was like, okay. And we were just getting along. Like we weren't enjoying, I mean, we wouldn't be intimate for months at a time. Like we were just roommates, raising kids together. We were
Mhm.
co-parenting. And then we ended up we moved into an apartment, got evicted, ended up moving in with his parents, had a falling out, moved in with my mom and stayed there in one room for 5 years
Oh my
and
goodness.
created a whole family. Two kids, two adults in one room, shared a bathroom. We ate in that room. That bathroom was our kitchen. Like we literally lived in that one room and bathroom.
Wow.
And that was when the turning point happened for Dorian. He was like, you're a different person because I was trying to heal my traumas while dealing with my
Mhm.
mom, who was the source of my trauma. And
Mhm.
he was like, this is a lot. Like, I didn't sign up for this. And he's a very calm person, peaceful person. He's
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
peacemaker. And I'm like this tourist. I am a full tourist. I am a full Guyanese West Indian. I'm fully
Mhm.
New York. And he's
Mhm.
like, you're a lot.
The bull.
Yeah, he's like, this is a lot. Like, I think you're undiagnosed bipolar. Like, something is wrong. And he hit a plateau where he was like, I can't do this anymore.
Mm,
And he was like, in order for change to happen, I have to be the change. And
mm.
he decided to really dive into personal development. I mean, staying up that and religion, which turned into spirituality. Like he literally would stay up until 6 o'clock in the morning all day,
Oh.
just studying, watching things on YouTube, reading, just really trying to understand how he could be a better person. And with him changing that thermostat, it made me pivot. I was
Mm,
like, hold on, you're changing and you're starting to become the man that I've literally like cried saying that I wanted you to be, and
mm,
I'm not matching you, which
mm.
means you're gonna leave me, and then I'm gonna have two kids. And I was like, that was not the plan. I was gonna leave you. Like you
Mhm.
don't get to leave
You don't
me.
get to leave.
That was my call. I said that.
Mhm.
And then I started to heal. And that was my beginning journey to really like, no, you need to start telling me what you have an issue with because I need to
Mhm.
fix this. Like, I
Mm,
want to salvage this now because now I see what our relationship could be now
mhm.
that you've turned up the thermostat. And we started our journey from there and really started to unpack. But it wasn't until we moved into where we currently are
Mhm.
almost 3 years ago now, where we had our own space. to unpack and heal and really get it out without other
Mhm.
people hearing us arguing, other people in our conversation, our kids being in the same room with us, like they have their
Mhm.
own rooms, and we
Mhm.
had time to unpack. And with us unpacking, we accidentally got on TikTok, and I was like, let's just do a video. The profile that we have now was my old cosmetics brand TikTok, and I
Mhm.
was like, it's not doing well. Like the social media presence isn't doing well. So I was like, let me
Mhm.
add another face. Maybe they're sick of seeing my face. Let me add another face. So I added his face. We did a video, and I had on the makeup, and I posted a video, and I wasn't into TikTok back then. I posted it and left.
Mhm.
Came back a few days later, and I was like, wait, we just went viral. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, this TikTok has 1 million views in 3 days. And I was like, okay, so let's do another video. And then we started doing more videos, and then people started asking us about our marriage. And I was like, okay, swipe all this. We're going to redo this whole TikTok. Now we're going to talk about our relationship because I realized we do have a story. And he was
Yes.
very private, and I'm very public. I was like, no, I'm going to tell everybody.
Mhm.
And as we started like getting more and more into the thing, I was like, I don't know if I want people to hear our story because it's a lot. Like, our
Mhm.
story is a lot. I mean, justifying all of the ebbs and flows that we went through to get here,
Mhm.
having to ask and the what you're referencing, what 10 years ago was, we were asking for money because we found out I was pregnant. And I was like,
That's when you found out
um,
you were pregnant. Oh my
yeah, we
gosh.
found out that I was pregnant and we started a GoFundMe because I was like, we
Wow.
don't have any money to have a
Mhm.
kid. And we were freaking out. And, my mom had discouraged me at the time. She was like, Brittany, nobody's going to pay for you to deal with your responsibility of being a mom. And I was like, right, but I need the community. And I was like, we're
Mhm.
not even together. Like, we found that I was pregnant the day before I broke up with him. I was like, my ex came back into the picture. I don't want to be with you anymore. And he came to my appointment the next day. I was like, just come, we can have lunch after, we can talk about this. But I don't
Mhm.
want to be with you. I'm gonna go back to my ex. Found that I was pregnant, and it was just like a silent, like, no, we're in this. Like,
Dang.
we're together.
Stop.
There's nothing you can do about it. And our life happened. We traumatized each other so terribly, and then added our son to it, who got traumatized from listening to us argue. And we started the TikTok thing happened, and then people started to inquire about our relationship. And with them asking us questions, it forced us to have to go back to those
Mhm.
moments and relive
Mhm.
those memories, which caused us to have to do more healing work because we were like, ooh, we haven't thought about that in a long time. This is a 12-year relationship,
Mhm.
17 years knowing each other. I'm like, we had to unpack things
Mhm.
from when we were 14 knowing each other to
Mhm.
18 to 21 to 30. And I'm like, this is a lot of healing work.
Yes.
And our audience helped us heal. Our audience helped us get to this point in our marriage where
Mhm.
we don't argue. We don't have like bad days. We have moments where we're like, getting on my nerves. Like,
Mhm.
what is the issue? Why are you operating out of the human thing? Like, we have this thing. It's like, you're being a human right now, and I need you to stop. Like, stop being a
I
human,
love
get
that.
out that flesh. Like, what's the issue? Let's talk. What's the root? Well,
Mhm.
you said something to me, and I didn't like the way that you said it. Okay, let's unpack. Let's get to the root. Like,
Mhm.
let's start going through this healing, and then we
Yeah.
move over things. And it's it took a lot, but it was our following that really like
Mhm.
started charging us with doing our work, and we were like, oh, like, we're
Yes.
not as much of a happy couple as we thought because we had some things that we just swept under the rug.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when you have to share your stuff out loud, people start asking you some nitty gritty questions like,
Mhm.
why did you stay? Why did
Mhm.
you, continue to do that after he
Mhm.
cheated? Why did you continue to do that after he,
Mhm.
reduced you down to a mustard seed as a man? Like, why did y'all stay? And it was
Mhm.
like, I don't know. Like, we thought it was a good idea to
We'll
keep
have to
trying. I
come
don't
back on
know.
that one.
Right. Like, let us heal real quick and we'll give you an answer. And
Mhm.
it forced us to, really like give this our all. And then when our kids started complimenting, like our son one day was staring at us at the dinner table, and I was like, "Are you okay?" He was like, "You guys are just like the coolest couple." And I
Oh,
was like, "Don't make me cry over my food." So cool. Like, I know that daddy loves you, mom. She's like, I can tell. And I know that you love daddy. I can tell. And I'm like,
My heart.
I don't know. Like, I was like, what makes you think that we love each other? And our 4-year-old is like, because you guys are always kissing, you're always laughing, you're just always in a
Aw.
good mood around each other. And I'm like, wow, like we really are doing the work because our kids who don't even know what love is, at
Oh.
this age, they're like, no, we can tell that you guys love each other. Like we can tell that you're happy. It's
Mm-hmm.
seen. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
good.
Oh my
It's like, okay,
goodness.
we're doing good.
Yes. Y'all are like literally breaking generational curses, just in
So,
your marriage. You're
well,
breaking generational curses. You guys are raising a generation of children who see two Black parents in the home who love each other, who support each other, who are actually friends. Like I know that you said you grew up with your mom, a single mother, and like uh, I can relate. I can relate in a lot of ways. I'm just going to say
mhm,
that, but it's just so powerful that we can create that for our children who come after us. And how much more confident are they going to be? How much more bold will they be? How much more true to themselves would they be because they had both units in the
yeah,
home with them? And I think that's just so huge, and so powerful that they even witnessed your transformation and they will go on to say, I want a love like mommy and daddy's, and
yeah,
not running from that love, but running to that love. So that's just
yeah,
like so beautiful. I know our like we've gone way over time and this has been such a good conversation. But tell me really quick about Essence Fest. Like how was that? How did that opportunity happen? Like tell us about that.
So because our platform does so well and we have such
Mhm.
an amazing following, um, there is a system that marketers use now, and they will put in a certain thing through the AI system that looks for certain kinds of influencers.
Mhm.
And someone actually told us who was trying to manage it, they were like, "Listen, you ding on everybody's radar. I mean, whether they're looking for one person or a duo, y'all ding on everybody's thing because your performance does not match your following." And I was like, what do you mean? They were
Oh
like, you perform at a level for people that have millions of followers. Y'all don't have millions of followers, and your following, your engagement rates are through the roof. And I'm
my
like, what does
God.
that even mean? Like, and we started looking at the analytics, and I'm like, wow, like just in Essence alone, for the 3 days that we were in Essence, our analytics on Instagram alone, we reached 1.2 million people in 3 days just on Instagram. And I'm
Huge.
like, what? I'm like, how did we reach these people? Like, we didn't do anything differently. We didn't post it.
Amazing.
1.2 million. And then as the days went, it started to increase. I think we left and we had reached 1.9 million when it was all said and done. And I was like, this
Jeez.
is insane. And it showed. Our
Insane.
following grew, the amount of boards that we started getting, it started to come through. But
Mm,
because we were on this dinged radar, this company approached us, which was Hulu, and they had approached us once before, and it was for some some deal, and then we ended up not getting it. And then
mhm.
a month later, they came back to us and they were like, "Hey, we're looking for some people to go to Essence Fest." And I was like, "This is a scam." I was like, "There's no way." And Dorian pulled up the phone. He was like, "No, this is from the same company we worked with before. They were the same company that got us the Hampton Inn deal."
Mhm.
And I was like, or Hilton, Hampton by
Mhm.
Hilton deal. And I was like, okay, so this is a legit company. Like they're real. This is not a scam. I
Yes.
responded back, and they replied. I was like, whoa. They were like, name your price. I was like, okay, all
Okay.
right. So I hit them with a number, and I was like, okay, let's see if this is gonna go through. And they're like, okay, we'll send over the paperwork. I was like, okay, this is it. I was like, no way. How are we gonna get there? They were like, flights included, stay is included, food is included, everything is included in
Baby.
addition to
Yeah.
your pay. And I was like, God, I'm not that much of your favorite now. I know that I'm your favorite, but I'm not that much of your favorite. And when they sent us the itinerary, when they sent us the flight, we were like, this is really happening. Mind you, My husband has not been on a plane since he was 7 years old.
Oh
So
my,
this is a brand new experience for
oh my
him. And we're
God.
just like, okay, we've been married for 7 years, never been together for 12, never been on a plane together. And I'm like, so this is a lot of energy, of first for us. And we
Yes.
have to make this moment count. It's our first time in New Orleans, first time in Essence, first time on a plane. And the brand was like, Hulu was like, capitalize on that. Use that to your advantage. Like, that's what we want to see. We want your authentic selves to show through this campaign. And we
Yes.
get to Essence and we're like, wow, like this is really happening. They gave us a corner suite. Like we were literally in a corner and everybody was like, we didn't get that. I was like, we just had favor. I don't know what to tell you. We had
Wow.
a corner suite in the hotel. I mean, views from we had windows on every wall,
Oh
views,
my God.
chauffeured. I was like, what is this life? Like, we're just two
Wow.
kids that went to school in Snellville. Like,
Oh, I
what
know,
do
right?
you
Snellville.
mean? And then we get to Essence and people are walking up to us from different states, different cities that are like, oh my God, we follow you. Can we take a picture? And I'm like, what is this life? Like,
Wow.
I was like, I'm just a person. Like, I'm just a person. And this one girl made her way into VIP because I was like, once you told me that I can sit in VIP and eat, for free, I'm
Say
gonna sit in
less.
VIP and eat and get my heart out, you know. And I was like, I have a small stomach, so I'm not eating a lot. But I was like, I can eat for free and get
Yeah,
drinks for free, any drink I want. I'm like, I'm gonna sit in VIP. I can hear the concert. It's fine. I'm gonna go
it's
eat and
fine.
drink for free. Just like the fat girl in me is like, nah, we're gonna go
Yeah.
eat. You know, this is New
Those
Orleans
drinks,
gumbo.
that food.
I'm like, gumbo? No, I'm going. I literally sat in VIP and ate bowls and bowls of gumbo. I let my stomach heal for a minute. I was like, all right, round two. Like, I was eating gumbo in VIP in the middle of a concert.
I
But
love
anyways,
it.
this one girl made her way into VIP and she was just like, I have to talk to you. She was like, I have to talk to you before my drunk kicks in. But she was like, I have to let you know how you changed my life. She's like, I love you, what you and your husband do. Great. But she was like, but you, I have to tell you
Oh
how much
my God.
your story has changed my life. And I was like, you do realize I'm a person. She was like, but you're not. You literally are not just a person. Like she's like, you don't understand how much you literally paved the way for me to change my life. Things that
Wow.
I never knew that I wanted to heal, things that I never knew that I needed to heal. Like she's like, you really helped. And I'm like, okay. I was like, God, we're doing this. Like this is
Wow.
it. Like being constantly in the same room with the same celebrities that were just walking up to us at a point, like what do you mean being around other influencers that other celebrities were going fangirl crazy over? And I'm like, we're just sitting here with people that have access to like billionaires, people that are literally in the 10%. Like we're in the rooms with these people. We're not qualified. Like on paper,
But you
we're
are
not qualified.
called. You are called. You are
Girl,
called.
it was it was crazy. Just that whole Essence experience was crazy. Just being able to go from, oh, I can't, I want to go to Essence one day and I'll just save my money and buy a ticket to, no, we're paying for your flight. And I was so pissed to quickly talk
Being
about the flight. We
invited.
got to pick, we got to pick our seats. So I was trying to be modest because I was still in a broke, single mom mentality. And I was like, we're just gonna do coach. We could have got Delta Comfort. I was like, we could have like chose our seats, like
Girl,
chose our seats, and I chose to be modest. I was like, never again,
never again.
never again will I
No.
choose to be modest. Like every accommodation that I asked for, they gave it to me and delivered every detail. I wanted to be in this type of room. I wanted window seats. They literally executed everything. Like I tell Hulu at
Gosh.
least once a week, I'm like, y'all changed my life. You don't understand. Like
Oh my
y'all
gosh.
just saying yes to us changed our life. And they're like, no problem. I was like, no, like you changed my life.
Oh
Like
my
you opened up my
gosh.
mind to understanding that there is a way for people to live their dreams. They just have to keep showing up for themselves first,
Mhm,
and everything else will fall in line. And I'm like,
mhm,
thank you, because now you've expanded our
mhm.
platform to be able to reach people to encourage them. No,
Yeah.
go bet on yourself. Bet on yourself because you betting on yourself, somebody else is looking, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna wait right until they hit that peak, and I'm going to go in for the kill, and I'm going to present them with a life-changing opportunity. And it's going to be in that moment that you realize you've been on people's radar. And
Wow.
that was that moment for us. Like, whew, we've been on people's radar. Like, okay,
Amazing.
cool. So yeah,
Amazing.
all of that to say it was amazing.
Amazing. Like just listening, like I'm like on the front, on the edge of like every word you're saying, like right there with you. You changed your life though. Like Hulu gave you the opportunity, but you said yes so many times, like yes and yes and yes. Yes, I'm gonna look at myself. Yes, I'm gonna do this work. I'm gonna heal my traumas. Yes, I'm gonna put myself out there. Yes, I'm gonna try these new things. And I think your willingness to say yes and your willingness to really look at yourself has brought you to this point. And I think, that's an inspiration because a lot of people don't allow themselves to say yes. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
choose to just stay in that same kind of circle, like stay on that same rat wheel and not actually give themselves permission to say yes to themselves. And I think that it's just amazing. And I believe and I know that this is only the beginning for y'all. I know that in the next who knows 5-10 years we'll probably do another, or hopefully before then, but who knows where you'll be. We'll do another interview and it'll be like that was just the beginning of whatever greatness that you guys have going on then. So it's just so good, so good. So I have three
Oh,
more questions, and these I'm planning to end every interview with these three questions because I think it's just really fun. So the
mm-hmm.
first one is, what is bringing you joy right now in your life?
Ooh, nature.
Mm,
Ironically, that is something that I thoroughly enjoyed as a kid. I'm the kid that had the girly girl tomboy that has a ton of scars from falling, being adventurous, climbing trees, racing, just being a kid, just
mm,
having that kid moment. And my mom is her and my daughter are the same. They're very prissy, like ill dirt, ill germs. And I'm like, no, but I like nature. And then growing up with a mom who was very much so like, no, don't touch, that's cringe. I'm
mhm,
like, no, I want to play in the dirt. I want to do these things. And
mm,
getting back to nature, just grounding myself, really learning what that natural, organic lifestyle looks like, just being
mm,
out in nature, hiking, exploring new things, really surrounding myself with plants and really just immersing my mental in nature. Oh man, it's bringing me, it has brought me and it's bringing me so much joy because I know that if I just go take a walk outside, I'll be fine. All I
mhm.
need is, I don't need food, I don't need anything, I don't need hugs. I just need to go outside.
Get
I
me
just need
outside.
to let me go get some sun for 5 minutes and I will come back and be a completely different person. It's nature.
I love
It
that.
fills my soul.
I love that. So good.
Love it.
Okay. Second question is, what are you celebrating in this season?
Mm, well, that's a good question. Um, I think that I am celebrating the fact that I've given myself permission to imagine, like go back to that childlike imagination. Of course, being raised in a single parent household, you don't get to be a kid
Mm,
because you're the second parent. You have to parent
mhm,
yourself. And my mom is not a terrible mom, but she is a Queens, New York bred woman who is very strong minded, very Gemini energy, very, headstrong, very type A personality. And she's
mhm,
like, no, we don't let people see us cry. We're strong. We get through it. She was a very much so female with men provider tendencies. So I never
mhm,
got to experience softness. I never got to experience someone else, doing for me. I had to do for myself from a
mhm,
very young age. And I kind of missed that opportunity to imagine, to have that
mhm.
imagination. And when it comes to manifesting, you have to have a childlike imagination. You
Yes.
have to have that quality because you have to visualize, and visualization comes from imagination. And
Mm,
when you are revoked of that opportunity, it kind of makes manifesting difficult.
mhm,
And, my husband has been in this whole realm of personal development and imagination. And I'm like, I just can't get with it. Like, I can't visualize a better life than this. Like, I'm broke today. Like, my bank account says 48 cents. Like, what do you mean? Visualize $1 billion in there. Like, no, I'm
Mhm.
visualizing the fact that I can't go get a Snicker bar, and I'm a grown up. Like, that's not okay for me. And she was like, you just have to have a childlike imagination. I was like, what is that? Like, you're speaking
Like
another
what?
language. Yeah. And I started spending more time with my kids, like really being intentional about forming a relationship with them and letting their minds run wild and just sitting there. And I'm like, okay, so that's imagination. Okay. And
Mhm.
then sitting and doing guided meditations and just practicing that
Mhm.
imagination, like, okay, visualize yourself breathing in and out, visualizing what this feels like. Where are you now? Just doing those little exercises has helped
Mhm.
me really form an imagination. And it took me a really long time to get here. And I'm
Mhm.
like, now I feel like I can manifest anything. I'm like, oh, you want me to imagine myself on a pony? Bet. I'm on a pony. It's pink. It has long hair.
Done.
I see it. Like, I'm sitting on here. It's done. What else? Or it's raining. Bet. It's raining. Like, I can go straight into that. And
Mhm.
it's been such a finally, like,
Yes.
I'm graduating. Like, I can finally manifest the life that I want. I did
Mhm.
it physically, I did it mentally, and now I can literally put myself in that quantum jump and be like, oh, nope, I'm out of that now. That season is done. I'm
Yes.
here. So yeah, that is something I
Yes.
celebrate because it was a lot. It was a lot to
I
get
love
here.
that. I love that. I love that. Okay, the last question is, what are you bringing into being?
Ooh. Um, mm, More grace.
Mm.
Um, I think that, as that is something that I struggle with, even in healing, there are still moments where I realize that my brain will send me back in a traumatic pattern where I start overthinking or I
Mhm.
start overstressing. And I'm like, no, we don't have to do that. You don't have to walk around and feel the phantom weight. Like, you don't have to carry that weight anymore. You're
Mhm.
not carrying that weight anymore. You're not 258 pounds. You're not 274 pounds. And that weight that I carried, the 258 and all of that, that was stress. That was emotion in conjunction with unhealthy eating patterns. It
Mhm.
was emotional stress and any time, or emotions and stress. And any time that I feel myself operating out of emotion, I feel that weight. Like, I literally feel like I put on a 200-pound vest and I'm like, this is heavy. And
Mhm.
I'm like, you got to take that vest back off and give
Mhm.
yourself grace. Stop picking up that weight. It's not for you anymore.
No.
And that is something that I've been really trying to, be allowed to be a part of who I am, a part of
Mhm.
my being, this grace. Like, I
Mhm.
extend it to everybody else, but you got to extend it to yourself too,
Mhm.
because you need it too. And that's just something I'm calling in to be like breathing, like it's just natural. Nope, I extend the grace. Nope, I'm not going to the gym. No, I don't want to go hang out. Nope, and
Mhm.
be okay with sitting in that
Mhm.
no, that
Mhm.
that that grace that I don't have to if I don't feel led to.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a daily challenge. But
Yes.
it's something that I am calling into being because I need it to be on autopilot. Like,
Yes.
naturally.
It's coming. You're going to manifest it just like you've manifested everything else.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. I feel so uplifted and so inspired, and I hope that you all listening feel the same as well. This has been such an amazing conversation. I just want to thank you again, Britney, for agreeing to come on the show, for sharing your story, for being so vulnerable. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. This is exciting because I told you you are such an inspiration to me. Like, literally, I told everybody, I'm like, there is a group of people that if they get their lives together and then my life is still not together, I am going to really be upset because we were all in this. No, we have to better ourselves. We have to better ourselves. And if they caught that tip before I did, I'm going to be upset. Not saying it was a competition, but it's like,
Mhm.
nah, I can't let the girlies down. Like, we
Yeah.
all can't be missing it. We have to pioneer this space.
Yes.
And we all came together. It was me,
Mhm.
you, D'Angela, Christine, and I'm like,
Yes.
we did this. We changed our bodies, but all of our minds are different. All of us have
Mhm.
grown. And I'm like, we were the popular girls that didn't realize we were popular in high school because we had something different. Like we stood out differently, and everybody can attest to that. Like we were
Oh,
the it girls that hadn't recognized our it factor, and I
girl.
was like, they recognized their it factor before me. What book did I miss? Like I can't be left behind. I have to get it together because we were like the pioneers of the it girl space, and I'm like,
Girl.
okay, well they
When I
gave me
tell you,
permission to start.
when I tell you that if you let me tell it, I was like bullied in high school. I had no friends, nobody liked me. Amanda's another person that went to high school with us. She's like, girl, you were popular in high school. I was like, no, I wasn't. I have, she was like, yes, you were. I'm
Very,
like, where was I? But I love it.
girl,
I love
very popular. Like when your transformation happened, I was like, bang, look at her. She looks
it.
incredible.
Oh my
And then when you started doing
gosh.
the bodybuilding, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, she's making me look bad. I have to get it together.
Girl,
And
bye.
you were literally like my marker. I'm like, nope. And then D'Angela got on it. I was like, all right, I am completely butchering this whole healing journey. Like, I can't go back to high school reunion and still be the same. The purpose is to change. I was like, I need to change. If
Girl.
it's not my weight, at least let it be my mentality. Like, something has to shift. We
Mhm.
graduated to graduate in life. I'm like, I'm still the same. Like, they've
Girl,
changed. They're literally blossoming in their womanly essence. And I'm just like, I still look like a teenager. I still
girl.
look 12 and everybody else is grown. And I'm like, I missed the
Now
mark.
look at
I had
you.
to get it together.
Now look at you, like
Get it
totally growing up,
together.
like you had your own journey, your own timeline, your own process. Like, yes, I love it.
Bro.
I love it. Well, again, thank y'all for listening. Thank you, Brittany. And hopefully we'll be able to do this again soon.